welcome back to another episode of the Bro Sessions. We're diving into an important conversation today on the transition from military service to civilian life and the impact of conscious parenting. Now, before we get started, we want to acknowledge that we faced some technical difficulties during the recording, which unfortunately led to about 30 minutes of corrupted content. However, we were able to salvage some valuable insights and perspectives that we know will resonate with you. So even though we had a few hiccups, we've still got plenty of thought-provoking discussion around sacrifices of service, the blessings hidden in our struggles, and how to balance the demands of family and career while staying true to what really matters. What have you been doing today?
Working on a 3D model for just potential passive income. I've played a video game for years. It's called World of Warcraft, and
Yeah.
I don't play like all the time, or I'm not a hardcore gamer. It's like usually once a week I'll go in there around 9 o'clock and play until midnight. And I still game with my buddies that I did when I lived overseas, you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
And they weren't in the military. They were buddies that I started gaming with before I ever went in the military. And so then I go to South Korea and Germany, and throughout the whole time, just when I was just sitting in the barracks, not doing anything for not traveling or not having work or whatever, I'd hop on and play video games with my buddies back in the States. I got to a point in both South Korea and Germany where I would wake up at midnight and I would game with them for the first 2 or 3 hours. Then I'd take a shower and go to PT. And then I would work in the military, do my job in the Army. And then I would get off work, go to the gym, go to dinner. And by 4 o'clock, I was going to sleep. And then I'd wake up at midnight and do it all. That was kind of my schedule, just because I didn't really have the opportunity to travel nor the money to. And so I wasn't comfortable enough in South Korea at the time to go travel because I didn't know enough of the language. And so I just gamed with my buddies. And I would take care of my responsibilities. I just shifted my schedule to where I was awake more before work than after work. And did the same thing in Germany. Well, anyway, these are my best friends. One of them's a naval engineer in Houston, Texas. He uses mathematics and understanding of the construction of ships. He studies schematics of ships, so like huge oil tankers and logistics boats, like shipping container boats and stuff like that. Anytime they run aground or have some type of issue where they're going to capsize or sink or whatever, he uses mathematics and the scenario of the situation to figure out how to save the boat. Huh?
Get lodged in the canal.
Yeah, like
Have you guys talked about that?
We talked about the shipping the container that got hit by a rocket off the sea of anyway, I can't remember the sea. I want to say it was maybe the Red Sea.
When was that? Recently?
Yeah.
In the last couple of weeks or months? Or
in the last year, the Houthis hit it with a rocket because of the United States involvement with
Houthis.
Yeah, it's
Houthi is the country?
Organization in the Middle East, specifically in Yemen, that
kind of like ISIS?
Is not necessarily, no,
not a
they're
terrorist
not.
Group? They're not
They weren't really a terrorist group. They were a group
that
just wasn't allies with Israel. They didn't like the way Israel was handling their business over in the Middle East and all these different things.
Is it a country or is it a group within a country?
It's a group within a country.
Oh, within,
it's a group within Yemen. The southern part of Yemen. And the United States actually launched some rockets or something at the Houthis for whatever reason, their connections between this, that, and the other, or whatever. And then the Houthis said, all right, well, I guess if y'all are going to attack us, we're going to attack you. So then they launched some rockets and stuff and was shutting down. I want to say it was the Red Sea, which is a major shipping lane over there in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And so they were not allowing U.S. vessels to come back and forth through there. And I want to say there was maybe a shipment of oil, like an oil tanker that had gone through, and it was hit by a Houthi rocket and was just... They said there's nothing we could do to fix it because it's filled with jet fuel and it's just going to burn to the ground. So that was the conversation I had with Ivan. Yeah.
Yeah. So was there like a big oil spill and stuff cleanup mess, or they just let it burn?
I never heard.
Interesting.
Exactly what happened after that. But anyway, so like these are my buddies that I've gamed with for a long time. They're my best friends. I know all about their life. 2 of them came to mine and Kayla's wedding 10 years ago. Like,
I didn't realize that. That's cool.
And one of them was from Iowa, and one of them was from Houston, and they met here and came to my wedding.
What does the other one do?
He's a network engineer for tech support.
Very cool.
And so, I mean, they're good guys. Neither of those two are married. They're in their early 40s. They've just gotten busy with work and being individuals. You know?
Yeah. Living your life.
I think both of them would be good dads. I don't think either of them think they would be good dads.
Oh, are they single?
Yeah. Yeah.
But they live in Iowa and wherever?
Iowa and Houston.
Houston. Interesting.
And then there's a couple other buddies too that
I love that you've been able to keep in contact with them through gaming. You have that in common, and that's kept you guys together all these years. Because there are several people that I, met while we were overseas and living in DC and different things that, really connected with. But I haven't been able to keep in touch with them over the years because, for one, a couple of years ago, I got deleted off of social media and.
Yeah.
I literally, what's crazy is that when all of that happened, the only thing that I posted, I guess that I could see that would make me get deleted was, it was about mental health and how much it should be talked about and how much it isn't talked about and these kind of things. And the next thing I know, I'm hacked and everybody's taken over, or they're taking over they took over my photography page. It was Apothecary Jen Photography. Well, it's still, I think the address for it, the unique address is still Apothecary Jen Photography. But the name changed from Apothecary Jen Photography to like Kelly Meyer or something like this. Seriously. And it's literally my, because it was like my first blog, if you will, talking about the different photography jobs that I had, that people that I'd photographed and posting sneak peeks and stuff like that. And so there's a couple of times where I blogged about people that I photographed. And so one of them was the Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places, Johnny Lee artist.
Oh, yeah.
Looking for love in all the wrong
You did
places.
art. You did photo work for him.
So I photographed one of his concerts at a bar down in Texas, and here, finish the rest of that. So I'm doing the meet and greet afterwards and photographing him with his fans, and he's like signing CDs and all the autographs and all that kind of stuff. And he pulls me across the table. He says, "Come here." And I was like, okay. This is when I first got back from Germany. And he says, "I'll give you 2 weeks married to me and you can have it all." And I was like, thanks, I'm flattered, but no thanks. Like, I had no idea how to even respond to that. Like, gross. Like,
It'd be funny if he said that, you did it, And then you find out
And
that
then I'm still married to him?
Well, then you found out he was bankrupt or something.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so gross. But anyways, that was hilarious. That was the funniest proposal ever. But, God, why did we start talking about that? Oh, I don't know.
You were talking about how your video or your photo Facebook page had gotten
right.
hacked and deleted.
So anyways,
but before it did, you had that.
Yeah, so I had somebody take a photo of him and I blogged about that on that page. So I'm literally on that page, in addition to like whenever I took family photos of us.
Maybe you got pissed and hired somebody to hack your account because you told that story.
Maybe. I don't know what happened, but anyway, so yeah, I got 2 years ago, got kicked off of social media, got hacked. All of my business pages are still out there. I just don't have access to them. And then I lost contact with, I had thousands of friends that I'd connected with over the years. I was one of the very first people to have Facebook. Like literally when you had to have a college address to be able to have Facebook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember those? It was back in 2005 when you were just graduating.
Yeah.
High school, right? Is that when you graduated in 05?
2006.
6, okay. And so we had just moved up there in 05. And then we left in 07, I think. So, and went to Texas for that short stint before we moved to Germany. Mm-hmm. So, anyways.
But yeah, these were guys that I met in Oklahoma when I was in high school.
Oh, okay.
Playing video games online.
Oh my gosh, wow. And they were from those areas that they're in now?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we just so happened to be playing the same video game, and Matt Self had ran into these guys in the game doing something, and so we all just started hanging out, and for like 10 years from the time I was around. No, it was longer than that. Yeah, so it would have been like 12 years. I think I was 15, 16 maybe. And then I got out of the military when I was 27, and that was 10 years ago. So 22 years that I've been...
10 years ago that you got out of the military?
Yeah, 2012.
10 years ago?
Longer than that, yeah.
That's it?
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
It seems like a lifetime ago.
We're in 2024, so it was longer than 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago. Yeah. Anyway, so we
12 is when you got out?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So out of active duty, I was in inactive... when I got back from active duty, I actually went to the National Guard, a unit here, and I had already completely got out of the military. Like, I was completely out, except for I had 3 years of inactive. No, what did I have? I had 4 years of inactive ready reserve that I had to kind of stay on the books or whatever. So technically, I didn't get completely out until 2016. So in between time, I went to like 2 drills of the National Guard unit, and because you had the option to do it just completely detached, or you had to come back and choose a National Guard unit near wherever you lived or something like that. And then I was like, no, I don't want to do it at all. I just want to, if they call me up, they call me up. Otherwise, I don't want to have to go to drill. I don't want to have to do anything. And I had that option.
So you decided.
Well, then, yeah, after like 2
separate.
months, I was like, you know what? It'll be a little bit of extra money. You know, it might not be a bad idea just to be involved with something. So then I went to like 2 drills, went to the unit, and I was like, hey, I want to go ahead and be active. And
Which unit did you go to?
I don't want to talk about that anyway. But anyway, so they were like, okay, here's what you got to do. Go to paperwork, blah, blah, blah. Ended up going to like 2 drills. And right away I was like, this is not for me. It is not the same, man. It is not the same as active duty. And even before I went into active duty, I actually signed with the National Guard. And when I went to like 6 months of drills, and
Right. Okay.
and I was like, this is not for me. This is not what I thought the military was going to be.
Even before you went active duty.
Even before I went active duty.
Now you did that
and I got
because
a conditional release.
you before you signed, like committed, you went. Before, is this while you were waiting for your eyes to heal and
No, so I'd already gone through that, where LASIK eye surgery just to get in the military.
Okay, so you'd already been to basic or not? This
Well,
before?
okay, so yeah, right after my senior year, I went to basic training, and that was in preparation. Before that was when I had the LASIK eye surgery, because they said I had just turned 18. I was going to talk to the Air Force recruiter. I was disqualified for my eyes. Said if I had LASIK eye surgery, that after a year's wait, I would be able to get into the Air Force. So I did that when I turned 18.
Oh, okay.
And when I graduated high school. And then I waited a year going to college and just doing jobs around here and stuff like that. And then I went back to the recruiter a year later, and he said, well, the type of surgery you had, because of the type that you had, which we deemed was the type that I had to have because of the extent of my eyes, he said, you can't get in the Air Force. They would disqualified me from the Air Force completely because of the type of surgery that I had.
Oh, okay, right.
Because there was multiple types of LASIK eye surgery, and I guess there was one that had been around for a long time. And here, come over here. I just wanted to get in the shade.
No, I got it.
And so it had been around, that had been more known for however long. And that's the kind that I had. Or I had the more new kind, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That one had been around for a long period of time, which was called LASIK, but I guess there's one that's called LASIK and one that's called PRK, and everybody just calls it all LASIK type of deal. So anyway, I go to the doctor.
LASIK.
The doctor said, well, the only kind you can have because of the extent of your eyes, you have to have this kind. And I was like, cool, whatever. I don't know the difference. I didn't know there was a difference. I didn't know, whatever, right? I said, okay, cool, let's do it. Let's get I'm going to have good eyesight. Yeah, you're going to have great eyesight. Anyway, so had that, wait a year, go back to the recruiter, show him all my documentation, my final year checkup. Oh man, yeah, I'll get this taken care of. We'll get you hooked up and ready to go. Well, he was supposed to call me back like a week later. It was like 3 weeks later. I called him, and I was like, hey, what's going on? He's like, well, I hate to break it to you, man. You're completely disqualified from the Air Force because the type that you had hasn't yet been accepted by the Air Force. It's the other type of LASIK that had been. And so I was disqualified for the Air Force. And I paid like $5,000 at 18 trying to get in the Air Force because that's what I wanted to do. Obviously, Dad being in the Air Force for so many years and all that. And influence. But anyway, so I was pretty devastated. But then I was like, well, maybe another branch will take me. Well, then I ended up getting into the Army National Guard.
Oh, so you did get into the National Guard, and that you went to basic in the National Guard.
I went to basic training, then I went to AIT, and then I came back home, and I was back home for like 6 months. And that's when I was like, man, because from day one I was like, what is this? This is dumb.
Yeah.
This is dumb. I'm not into this at all.
And so because you
for my
wanted
first drill.
And that's because you said it was not what you expected. You expected something more intense? And is that because it was Army?
I expected more targeted training based upon my job.
And what was your job when you enlisted?
I was
Or not
what
enlisted.
was called a forward observer, which is technically field artillery. People say field artillery like it's some... I'm a forward operator for the field artillery.
You'd basically go scope everything out before you guys would set up
So like
shop.
a Marine scout or something like that, but not necessarily the same as a scout. But I would be attached to infantry units. So you'd have a platoon of 13 Bravos, which is an infantry soldier on the ground, kicking in doors, clearing houses, eliminating the enemy, blah, blah, blah.
Mortarman.
Really, no. Well, they have mortarmen that are attached to them that are artillery specialists as well.
The reason I say that is my first husband was a mortarman in the National Guard.
Yeah.
And he was an infantry, and he chose that. He got a 99 on the ASVAB, but he chose mortarman because it was the quickest MOS. So he could get back and go to college.
Yeah. So you're usually like a 2 to 3 man team attached to an infantry unit, and you're the observers for that infantry unit. And you usually spend a lot of time with the platoon leader and platoon sergeant. And platoon leader is the officer in charge of the platoon, and then you have the platoon sergeant that is the senior NCO, lower enlisted soldier that is a direct second in command essentially to the officer of that platoon. A platoon is made up of about 40 men. That's the standard size. Sometimes they're a little larger, sometimes they're a little smaller, depending on what assets you have in your unit. You know what I mean?
And
you might need this specific platoon to do this specific job, but not have a full platoon of people, 40 people. You might only be doing that specific job with 20.
I see.
Yeah.
It might be a specialty, like a mortarman or a...
Well, no. A mortar. You can have. They're essentially a mortar squad. So if you think about a platoon of 40 men, you have each line of 10 soldiers is a squad. So you have 4 squads in a platoon, and you usually have 4 platoons in a company or battery. And then you usually have 3 to 4 batteries or companies in a battalion. And then you have 3 to 4 battalions in a brigade.
Okay.
And that's the different sizes of units. And a squad is usually a 5 to 10 man team.
And those teams are the specialty
And those
teams?
are usually the special. They could be split. So you could have like your one of your squads in your infantry platoon could be a 4 or 5 man team that is the mortar team, and then a 4 or 5 man team that is the FO team, forward observer team. And then the other 3 squads are the 3...
radar or whatever.
Well, not necessarily radar. They would be... they could potentially be your... those would essentially be your infantry soldiers, kicking in doors and shooting the bad guys. We were trained on the same stuff that they're with, yes. And then you would have these other 2 to 3 squads that are you doing the same thing, kicking in doors, blah, 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 on the ground, everything.
So you're all cross-trained and able to do that.
You have an additional duty.
Hand-to-hand combat type situation.
Which is FO and sniper team or mortar team and so on and so forth.
You all know how to do it all.
Right.
But you're assigned these specific positions.
Yeah, it's not necessarily that those first 3 squads of infantry soldiers are going to know how to do the mortar or know how to do the sniper. Well, everybody can do sniper. There's some more trained than others based upon long-range marksmanship school that you can go to, which isn't sniper training, but it's essentially similar to sniper training as far as the weapons aspect of it, but not from the survival aspect of it.
Okay.
So long-range marksmanship school is what you would go to, and I went to that in Germany.
Okay.
And then had a lot of training on calling for fire, not just from artillery, but from close air support, which is in close combat attack. So close air support are fixed wing aircraft like jets and fighters, and close combat attack is air support that's usually provided by like Apache helicopter or something like that, rotary wing asset.
So do you mind talking about your heroic get to show out situation with the calling in coordinates?
In combat, I never dropped bombs on people, thankfully. But just because I was associated with the platoon that I was associated with, we were the QRF, Quick Reaction Force, or Quick Response Force. for our brigade's area of operation. And because we had other FOs that were higher ranking than I was. And I remember actually our platoon leader, our officer, called for fire once. Being the officer, he has the right to, and he goes to the same schools we do. So, you know, in those types of scenarios where it's not happening to as much of a volume as you might think, like you're just, you know, World War II or Vietnam and they're dropping bombs right and left, and that's what you see on the movies and stuff like that, and they have 30 planes flying over. You know, things aren't necessarily like that. We don't really have those large-scale wars anymore. So for us, whenever, I mean, we had a couple guys that called for fire, but I distinctly remember one with my platoon leader, which was a captain, actually. They're usually first or second lieutenant, which are the first two ranks of officer in the Army. But he was a captain and in charge of our platoon because of our specific job. We were training Afghan Border Patrol, police, and Army along major supply routes how to protect assets properly from these positions of observation that they were manning. And so you have a major highway and you have convoys of equipment going from one city to another, maybe this city where the air base is, where goods can be shipped in on plane and then transported on vehicle throughout the rest of the country for the logistical operations of a military engagement and so on. So we would go to these positions in checkpoints and overwatch positions and train these soldiers how to establish proper sectors of fire and overlapping sectors of fire and just different types of techniques that you learn in the U.S. Army and kind of standard operating procedures as to do what in what scenario and this, that, and the other, right? So we were training the Afghan National Border Patrol Police and Army to do that job because they didn't necessarily have the same specific training that we did or the level of training or extensive training that we did. So here's a rifle, that's a target, shoot it, go out there and be National Border Patrol Police. And I'm not saying it's quite that watered down, but they didn't have specifically the same training that we did. So we went in and we're training all those things. And
So
plenty of...
What is is it to establish, I mean, obviously you're empowering them to be able to defend themselves, I guess, to protect whatever it is that's happening over there that we obviously aren't going to discuss those kinds of things, details, but the whole idea when you're training them is for that purpose or another? Or bigger purpose?
That
you can talk about.
So yeah, just like you've got local police in the United States, you can kind of think of it that way. You've got positions of hierarchy and leadership in any organization. And so the things that you are on the ground doing as an American soldier or as Afghan Border Patrol or police along a major supply route, those soldiers and police officers and law enforcement officials and so on, they only know so much. They know to protect and serve. You know, we all want it to believe that our police are there to protect the rights of their citizens, regardless of the direction that persecution can come from, whether it be a criminal or somebody in a position of hierarchy above an organization or a country or whatever. There's only so much that you know or that you're aware of. And if you keep your eyes open, you can kind of tell the truth behind things gradually. So yeah, we were over there training their military and police on what it was to be a soldier and to operate and perform your duties properly. And that's what we really were there doing that. And it's kind of like this, when you're a country that's powerful, you have client countries, or you establish relationships with countries to benefit your own, whether that be a strategic territory, resources, or otherwise.
Right.
And ultimately, sometimes when wars are fought or things are done or decisions are made, they're not always made for the reason you think they're made for.
Right.
You know, the whole premise and idea behind what's going on and why we're at war isn't necessarily the truth that you're getting as to why we're going to war.
Right.
They can use that as kind of act like it's the primary reason, but ultimately it's the secondary or third,
Right.
third reason why we might go to war or something like that. But
there might be a hint of the reason that they say it is.
Yeah, I mean,
there's ulterior motives.
I can't tell you exactly the reason why I think that we're in Afghanistan 100%. I think there's many different reasons. And it's, when you have key people in positions of leadership throughout the United States government, you could have somebody in the State Department, the Department of Defense, CIA, somebody that works in whatever part of the United States government is over manufacturing and resource importation, or, you know what I mean? All these different parts of the bureaucracy that is the United States government. And this representative from these, you get one representative from 4 different organizations, and they report to the president or the Joint Chiefs or whoever based upon their report about whatever it is that they are participating in. What do y'all think? Do you think it would be for us or against us to go to war with this country? Oh, sir, I think it'd be great for us to go to war with this country. What'd they do? Oh, it's none of your business. But yeah, do you think we should or should not go to war with this country? And then whatever reason that is in the news, like somebody bombed us or shot somebody or this, that, and the other happened, or the communists, or
the benefits have to outweigh the
and then
casualties
that's
of war.
what the American public learn. Yeah, it's some catastrophic event that happened where we were shot at or killed or people
pandering,
whatever,
so they can get the American
in the face
public support.
And then there's some behind closed door meetings happening between different groups of people, and then all these different groups of people aren't necessarily sharing the same beneficial information as to why it would be beneficial for us to go to war in Afghanistan. Somebody that's in the Department of imported goods or trade or something like that is interested in us invading Afghanistan because there is a tremendous amount of natural resources in Afghanistan, and he's got a buddy that works in mining that could get a contract from the United States government because he's the one that writes the contracts for mining contracts in foreign lands or whatever that we have control territory over. And then, so the dude that's involved in logistics and importation of goods and trade, he wants it to happen for his reason, but he's not reporting that to the Joint Chiefs. He's just saying, yes, sir, I think it would be beneficial. Maybe they do report that. Maybe they do, like, yeah, hey, Joint Chief, we could get lithium out of Afghanistan or opium or whatever it may be because of his contacts over his department of the government. And then this guy over here is like, oh yeah, Department of Agriculture, we could go in and we could plant GMO corn, get into that region, and Monsanto is going to give us, all of the profits, or we're going to split the profits, or what, this, that, and the other to do this. You see what I'm saying? So that's, in my opinion, why oftentimes we go to war. The military in my opinion, is to protect your country. And there's no denying that sometimes throughout history that it's been a heck of a lot more beneficial to go fight wars other places than on American soil.
Oh, for sure.
But the reasonings behind us going to different countries around the world and fighting a war over there isn't necessarily because they are the bad guys. They're just not on the same team as we are. You know what I mean? And it might be more beneficial for us to get a strategic stronghold in that location. Or it might be more beneficial to gain resources from that country, because it's more beneficial to us to have resources than China or Russia or whatever the lines that are drawn in the sand are worldwide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't have my own opinion on that, but that as far as who's against who and why and this, that, and the other.
Right.
But that's ultimately why I think wars are fought, more so than just the righteous indignation of the United States. You know what I mean? I don't hate my country. I don't hate my fellow soldiers. I don't, in any organization you have the good with the bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I there's definitely soldiers and airmen and Marines that I've worked with that I've liked, and there's definitely those that I don't really have a lot of respect for,
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like Star Wars. You've got Empire and the Rebels, and you've got some scumbags on the Rebel side, and you've got a lot of scumbags on the Empire side. But I'm willing to bet that a lot of those stormtroopers weren't all evil, or at least that's the story that the writers of Star Wars were trying to portray, is that these people weren't all evil.
Yeah.
And definitely, it seems like to me that those that tend to be on the lower end of the totem pole are the ones that are really trying to do the right thing.
Yeah. Right. Thankfully, somebody's out there trying to do the right thing.
Because, you wouldn't go and most people wouldn't go in the military if their reason was, here's you got two reasons. Are you more likely to go into the military because you're fighting for freedom, or are you more likely to go into the military because you're going to steal everybody's shit? Rape, pillage, and plunder. You know what I mean? Just for lack of a better way of explaining it, you get the idea.
Yeah.
The two polar opposites.
Yeah.
Well, most people that serve in the military or the police or fire or whatever is they're going for the greater good.
Right.
They're going because they have honor, they have a desire to help, they want to be brave, they want to be seen as a hero. Maybe not seen as a hero, but want to be seen as somebody that's doing the right thing in life that not many people do.
Have purpose.
You know what I mean?
Leave a legacy.
So
Lead.
most people that are the lower enlisted in the military, and probably a lot of officers, but it just I don't think a lot of people understand. I think a lot of people don't quite understand why we go to war and the mentality behind people in the military. And believe me, there's people that have served in the military a lot longer than I have, and have suffered a lot more than I have. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for these people. And, so many families that have lost their loved ones. I'm blessed enough, for whatever reason, God wanted me to be here, and it's very likely that I would not have been. And so I'm very thankful for that. It kind of makes you feel, sometimes to me, I lose sight of the fact that God, I believe God wants me to be here, and I wonder why I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I
know why you are.
I'm a father. I've got 4 kids, and I'm doing the best that I can.
But you're not just a father with 4 kids doing the best that you can. You are an incredible, outstanding, phenomenal father.
I appreciate it.
I mean, Jake, no. Your kids are evidence of it.
Thank you.
Look at them. Look at how proud you are of them. We all see the same thing, and it's not by lack of effort. I know this. You are a very conscious parent.
I appreciate it.
You're wonderful. You're incredible.
And then I appreciate, thank you. And so, and then I wonder, am I just here? Was I just blessed enough to be here just to be a dad? And so it's kind of like,
But just to be a dad, I want to really talk about this, because we lose sight of how important it is to be a conscious parent and a good one, and like to really love your kids well. Like think about the things that we've experienced, the trauma that we've experienced, and how much of that we are breaking, not continuing, right? We're changing. We're changing boxes. We're flipping the script.
Yeah. And
It's important to I feel like to emphasize how important it is for that conscious parenting, the sacrifices you guys have made for both of you to have the lifestyle to where you can be at home and do a podcast in the middle of the afternoon on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like these are profound things, and people need to know, they need to see the example that it's possible and how important it is. And I wish I could make every day be like last a week or more. You know what I mean? Just because it's so precious. But I'm so excited to see what life is like in 10, 15 years from now. Just because of our kiddos, for you guys, your kiddos, Jesse's kiddos. I mean, we've got some great kiddos in our family. They really, anyways. Go on my soapbox. Continue what you were saying, but I wanted to really make some emphasis on that because, I know I'm biased, but I do think that we have all made decisions, sacrifices and done things the best that we can, but a lot of outside of the box type stuff also, you know what I mean? That I feel like has really positively impacted not just our kiddos, but our family, our community, all those kind of things. Anyways.
No, I appreciate it. Sometimes I wonder if the most ambitious part of my life, from like a job making money, reputation, so on and so forth, is past me.
I see what you're saying.
And I wonder if now it's all about just my children rather than pursuing business opportunities and stuff like that. And, I feel like that is the truth in a lot of ways, but I feel like I can have a bit of both. And so
we've talked about this. We just need to get strategic. We need to have a brainstorming session, but I'm telling you, I think the way to do it is just to have a YouTube channel.
And I do. I've been working on it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm saying this for myself too. Like I've been, all these huge aspirations. And what you said to me last week when we were out back talking about just different things, it just really, I was like, okay. This whole time, all this has been about creating the life that I want and getting really strategic about what I want that to look like, you know what I mean? And creating that. Mm-hmm. And not saying yes, not getting distracted by keeping up with the Joneses or the fear of health concerns and not having insurance or
somebody's perception of what they think you should be doing.
Yes, all of those things. So again, it's trying to get really clear about what I want my life to look like day in and day out, which is exactly what we're doing right now. Having a meaningful conversation that, bouncing all over the place like we do, random thoughts, some useful. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be some things that we're talking about that will enlighten somebody, to help them understand something, or to give them, something that will be useful in their day-to-day, or something like that. It's really crazy that we set the intention that today's episode was going to be about talking about coping skills that we can use to take a proactive approach to mental health, that mental health is not talked about enough, that We can talk all about statistics like we did in our last episode, and experience and perspective and different things like that, and bring awareness to it. But I feel like it's our responsibility to, at the same time, empower people with skills to help prevent even getting there. And then, if you find yourself there with suicidal thoughts or actively suicidal, providing skills or, at least some direction on how to cope with that. And then, how to support people that maybe are having a difficult time with their mental health, and what are the signs, how to recognize it. This may end up being multiple episodes, which is great either way, but today I really wanted us to talk about coping skills. And so what I was about to say was, goodness gracious, how amazing. I mean, my goodness, we're at the back of what do you live on, 12 acres?
We have 7, but we have access to 12.
Okay. And
for our cows and stuff.
Okay, so we're at the back of this acreage in the middle of Bridge Creek country. We're surrounded by cows and the leaves blowing in the wind on the trees all around us, and a field full of wildflowers and beautiful
cool.
clouds in the sky.
It's
And
cool,
you know what
it?
I mean? Like, this is what I want my life to be. You know what I mean? So how can I create that? Well, one thing that I heard early on I guess whenever I first went on disability in February. Right around that same time, I heard somebody say something about a perspective of cancer being a blessing and how to see it as a blessing. You know what I mean? And so while somebody might have a perspective of looking down upon somebody that is disabled or is receiving disability benefits, or however, whatever that is, I guess the point is just to find the silver lining in all of that, right? And so my mission in life has been to help alleviate frustration and overwhelm in people and empower them to overcome, right? And create the life they want. So I'm always busy in doing something and creating, right? Always. It's just the way my brain works. I've got a million different businesses that I believe in, that I'm ready to, as soon as I make my millions, I'm opening these businesses, right? You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's trying to figure out, again, strategically, how to spend my day, how to spend my time and my energy, and what I want that to look like. And then also taking advantage at the time that I have been given to heal. You know what I mean? The resources that I've been blessed with to be able to do that. Which, goodness, I wish I could do for everyone. Like, everyone deserves to be able to heal the way I've been able to. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, anyways, the only thing I can come down to is this podcasting and YouTubing and just sharing perspective and knowledge and interviewing people that have different perspectives and more knowledge than I do about different things, and that kind of stuff. So anyways, this is a coping skill for me, you know what I mean? To be able to connect with not just like-minded people. I love learning new things and growing in my perspectives and my knowledge and that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But it feels really good. I mean, we have, I guess, the luxury of being related and being able to share that whenever we come together. But anyways, that's, I guess, part of my point is that, number one, I think my biggest coping skill is being able to connect with not just like-minded people, but really great quality, like, caliber of people, a certain caliber of people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That do help with personal growth and coping skills and, all the things that help me be a joyful person on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
What do you think about all that? I took over for a little bit.
Oh, you're fine. No, I think that's great. I never really thought about that as a coping skill, but it makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah. Exercise is one of my coping skills, with things that I've struggled with in the past and digging myself out of holes and, different states of mind, changing my state of mind and the way that I looked at things. Exercise has really been a big part of that. I was always a pretty good athlete, and going through the military, I was always fit, and I would say above average, even with those in the military that are meant to be in shape most of the time,
Yeah.
because just of the aspect of the job. And so that's always something that's really helped me, because I can work on myself, and instead of worrying about the outward me, I'm working on the inward me. It takes a lot of discipline to eat the right way, and not be tempted by things that taste good but aren't good for you, but then also take the right steps to be a good example for those others around you, specifically my children. I want my children to grow up with the same mentality of wanting to be physically fit, because I think that you can't be mentally fit without being physically fit. And I'm not saying you got to be a bodybuilder or, a fitness model or something like that, but just actively staying in shape and just doing your normal everyday thing. Like, you're a farmer and you're just being a farmer. Well, I would say most people would see farmers as a job that takes a lot of labor, and you would use a lot of physical strength and capability, but there's a lot of farmers that are out of shape, not healthy.
Yeah.
So it's not just about picking a job or a career or something that by side effect helps you be in shape, not sitting at a desk all day. But even people that don't sit at desks all day are still out of shape and unhealthy, so
Yeah.
that's something that has really helped me over the years. It really has, working on myself, not just from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint, and trying to really be aware of every second rather than just going from one situation to the next. Being mindful of my thoughts and my intentions, and that has a lot to do with the physical aspect of
intentional.
Intentionally waking up and having a workout plan and sticking with it when you're 10 minutes in and tired or your mind's elsewhere, focusing on that and blocking out all other distractions. In my opinion, I think it's a form of meditation, because, often in life, whenever I feel like as an adult you're doing something, your mind is elsewhere. And I think it's important to be focused on whatever it is that you're doing, and being intentional on what you focus on throughout the day. And that's something that has really helped me cope with thoughts and struggles in the current time frame, or things that I've been through in the past.
Yeah.
It helps me not dwell on things where I've messed up, and dwell on terrible situations that I've been through. And it's a really good coping mechanism, just being mindful of your thoughts. And it sounds I think it probably to most people would sound kind of silly, but or maybe that they don't understand. Well, yeah, I'm aware that I'm going to the bathroom when I'm going to the bathroom, but no, like, where is your mind?
Yeah.
Where is your mind at?
Yeah.
Depending on whatever
Exactly.
task that
Being
you're doing.
mindful of what your thoughts are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And choosing
What you want those thoughts to be.
what you want the thoughts to be, and when you feel frustrated and overwhelmed, choosing healthy coping skills
Right.
to
Not-
get through it.
Not alcoholism and stuff like that. Not binging on this or that.
Right.
It needs to be something productive. You know, there's a lot of things that I like to do. I think hobbies are incredibly important.
Yes.
You know, I feel like most people, hey, what'd you do today? Well, I went to work. What would you do after work? I watched TV. And then you talk to somebody else and somebody else and somebody else, and it seems like 90% of the people you talk to, what'd you do this? I watched some Netflix. What'd you watch? Oh, it's a real cool show. This, okay. But then you just talk to more and more people, and that's what their coping mechanism is. Or, you know, maybe they're not telling you that they're, watching Netflix, but they're also drinking a 12-pack a night or drinking a bottle or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Everybody has different vices, and I understand that. But doing something creative is also a coping mechanism that has really helped me.
Yeah.
Doing things that I enjoy, like, man, I've always wanted to know how to do leatherworking. Well, watch some YouTube videos on leatherworking and then spend a few bucks and go buy you some tools. You can spend the same amount of money on a night out that you could on some tools to do leatherworking.
Right.
Like, I could go out in a night and spend $150 on a dinner and a movie and going to a bar afterwards with some friends, and my wife and I could spend very easily $150. Or we could stay home and she could buy $50 worth of candle making things off of website or whatever, and I could spend $50 to $100 on some leatherworking tools and some leather and make a sheath for a knife, or a leather-bound notebook journal. Like,
Right. Speaking
that's
of, okay,
coping.
make me one of those, like a covering for a journal that's like a common, we'll find some type of a really cool insert that we enjoy. Or if you make are you making the paper too?
So I didn't make this paper, and I contemplated it on ahead of time, and it was funny because I went to an event that I'm a board member of. It's a Scottish festival, and Sterling Classic Scottish Festival in Yukon, Oklahoma, usually around the last weekend of May, first weekend of June, every year at the Molly Spencer Park.
It's
over there
so cool.
in Yukon. It's a Scottish festival and Highland Games. I'm a board member. I do all the tech work and website and marketing, graphics, and stuff like that for the organization. But anyway,
And you
help
compete.
help plan the event, and I compete and stuff. It's fun.
It is so fun. We enjoy going as out there as a family to watch and support you guys so much. And then this year, his son Leon, what is Leon? He just turned 8 in August.
Yeah, but he was 7 at the time.
7 at the time, and he competed for the first time, and he did so awesome. We were so proud of him. It was so cool. We loved it.
It was fun.
Can't wait for next year.
But yeah.
What are you doing different next year, or have you guys talked about anything that you wanted to improve on, or anything like that? Do different for the event?
We're gonna. I
Personally,
think we're gonna.
or and as for the board, as the event itself.
Yeah, we're gonna have fewer food carts. We're not gonna have any more than 4, just to potentially maximize the profits that those food truck owners would make.
That's
so that
nice.
you know what I mean. Based upon attendance, they're really busy. Rather than being slow with 6, let's be busy with 4. And then we're doing
The one with the fries and the chicken on cheese and all that on, like the loaded fries, whatever. That one was so good. I don't know if that's on the list, but
was it a small cart? 2 ladies?
I don't remember. You'll have to ask Mom. She was the one that got them, and they were delicious.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I'll see if I can figure out which one that was. Anyway,
You know who we should also try to see? I don't know if they do anything organic, but they make their own popsicles and they're out of Ardmore.
we can ask.
Yeah.
Figure out the name. I'll pass it along.
And the Tamale King. I'm sorry.
You hungry right now, Jim?
Munchies. I know. The Tamale King is one of my friends. He's in Oklahoma City. He's one of the bartenders at the arena that I worked with for years. And he has a detailing company, but he also has this Tamale King that he started in the last couple of years. And he's at all of the major events in Oklahoma City.
That's cool. It's hard sometimes because we're a smaller event. So people like that, they want to know your head count, your annual head count and stuff. And then.
And if they're already at another event and that kind of stuff.
Right.
But, yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
I'll
We'll do
pass it
whatever
along.
we can do to promote it. Is there anything that you guys haven't done that you've thought about doing for promoting or needing?
There's some ideas. We're going to be a little bit more on the ground rather than digital, because I think that has more of an impact in a small community rather than
Yeah.
digital.
Yeah.
So we're going to hand out more flyers, hand out some
So I have an
cardboard
idea.
cutout posters and stuff like that.
I didn't bring it, but I'll show you when we get back. I just made got my business cards for the Elevate the Game Academy clinic that I wanted
They're
to.
square, right?
Yes, and they have
Kayla gave. Yeah, I saw some.
just the QR code on the back. It takes them to the website or whatever.
We
Do
have that.
something like that. That it's
We've got QR
small. You
codes.
can just litter them everywhere. I mean, not literally,
Right,
I'm,
but yeah, distribute
making
them all over the place,
Being
yeah.
a nuisance, but hand them out all over the place.
Yep.
Awesome.
So we're going to, just be
You
more
should get
local.
something like that and bring them to the. I talked to Crosley. He's going to give me the details, but the cancer night next Tuesday night. It's like at 4:45 is when I'll throw out the pitch.
Okay.
So
Next
probably get
Tuesday.
there by 4:30.
Okay. Send me a text so that I have it in my phone book or my messages so that I can talk to Kayla about it.
Okay.
But yeah, so that's another thing that I do. I do the Highland Games, and I'm just trying to lift more big things rather than just little things, because I've always worked out just to stay in shape, I'm not really taxing my nervous system in the way that it's taxed whenever you do the Highland Games, lifting heavy things. And so I'm just trying to change my workout a bit to be a
Not
little
just
bit
your
more
nervous
geared.
system, but your skeletal system, your muscles, everything. Like they say that that lifting weights is so good just for your bones.
Yeah. Yep.
The health of your bones.
When you stress something, things heal and regrow. It's the truth. It's the truth of our bodies.
Well, and I saw
how
something the
muscle
other day that
growth
was
works, yeah.
a list of
Same with
the
bones.
different things, like your skin regenerates in the X number of days,
Yeah.
your liver regenerates in X number of days.
It's argued about every 70 days, every cell in your body is regenerated.
See, that's what gives me for one, I no longer have any amount of doubt or fear when it comes to cancer. You know what I mean?
You don't need to.
Zero.
First off, cancer is our body's natural way of quarantining something that's inside of it that it doesn't want.
Right.
That it can't expel or is having a hard time expelling. It's essentially a cocoon that our body builds around something that it doesn't like. And if we know that, and we know how cancer grows, then potentially we need to be detoxing because we have something in our body that our body doesn't want. But then also cancer can get out of control and overgrow as well, which is a side effect to the root cause, which is something that's in your body that your body doesn't want. And cancer can overgrow and cause a lot of disruption as well. And what's the nutrients that cancer needs? And you just take the steps that it takes to eliminate those in the healthiest way possible.
Right. What do you call that? Reverse engineer it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we get here?
Yeah, exactly. And what do we need to do to move
And I'm not
forward?
telling you anything you don't already know.
No, but I think it's good for us to share with our audience. That's part of my... Honestly, it's really funny. I can look back at all the different stages in my life, like whether it was a certain...
That's usually every day when I wake up. I've been having like 2 or 3 glasses of that whole milk a day. just by itself. And then I eat beef and eggs. Maybe once every 2 weeks I'll have 1 cup of rice. And then maybe once a week I'll have sourdough pancakes or sourdough biscuit or sourdough waffles. And then the rest of what I eat is fruit. I don't really eat any vegetables except for carrots.
You should put some olives in there. Not like black olives out of a can, or Kamala or whatever if you like those. But I found these at Trader Joe's. They're in these little packs that are individuals of green olives. Mm-hmm. So it's a good snack that's giving you good fat.
Well, I do pickles, and I do
and you do your
sauerkraut.
Canned pickles. And
yeah,
sauerkraut.
We make our own pickles and we have our own sauerkraut.
How do you eat your sauerkraut? I have to try
Scrambled
to work
eggs.
into
No,
eating
make sure
that.
that you strain the sauerkraut to where there's no water with it.
Okay.
So like you get instead of pulling it out with a spoon that's going to leave juice in the spoon, I pull it out with a fork and I kind of squeeze it against the side of the container, and then I'll pull it out and I'll mix it with my eggs, like scrambled eggs if I do scrambled eggs.
Okay.
I usually eat sauerkraut maybe once a week. And those pickles, I'll just, maybe if I walk by the fridge and want a snack, I'll grab some pickles or something, or nuts, or I've got dried berries.
The nuts I choose are walnuts, pistachios, Brazilian nuts, macadamia nuts, pistachio nuts. Did I already say that? And then pumpkin seeds.
You mix them all up? We do pumpkin seed regularly.
I basically portion them out into a bowl, and that's my daily amount that I use throughout the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get you.
And then I have some apricot seeds that I've been
grinding.
No, I've just been chewing them up and eating them.
Are they okay?
Oh,
they're not too dense. I thought they were like a real hard.
No, so that's the whole. And when you break that up and out, whatever, inside there, there's these other
apricot seeds are fantastic.
They're B17, which is supposed to be like illegal because it kills cancer, like all kinds of stuff. So what's interesting about all these things, right? Amazon, so who knows? But yeah, I have a whole huge jar of them. I got them.
Are they salted or unsalted?
Unsalted, they're raw. They're just so I got them, in prep and all that for that when I was doing good stuff. So back when I was still before I started chemo. So I started chemo in April of this last year. And so that was between Christmas and April that I got those, kind of right before I started chemo. And then, so I had all these things lined up. So I had the soursop drops and all these things, right? Like everything. And then my doctor advised her request was that I don't do anything other than chemo and the reason why was because if I did have any adverse side effects to the chemo, it could be masked with anything else that I was doing. So it would be hard to determine what exactly was causing the side effect, basically, is what she said. And then the other thing that influenced me to stop everything and to just do chemo on her recommendation, and I tried everything I could to be respectful of that, was she said that this is what's so funny to me. Like, it kind of once I made the decision that I knew that my body could heal, that God would heal me, that miracles could happen, I just had to literally pray audacious prayers, and that was it. God, let me give all the glory to you. I want to be able to tell that story, that to be my testimony.